There are seasons when you are doing everything you know to do, and still nothing seems to be happening. You are praying, you are working, you are being faithful, you are showing up, you are planning, but there is no visible fruit. And this is where many people become discouraged because we have been conditioned to measure progress by what we can see. But planting teaches us something different. When a farmer puts seed into the ground, the field doesn't immediately look more productive. In fact, from the surface, it may look exactly the same. But something has changed. There is seed in the ground. And I think there are seasons in our lives when God is teaching us how to remain faithful without immediate evidence that our faithfulness is producing anything. I call that a planting season. Planting requires you to invest before you receive. You give time before you see results. You develop discipline before you experience momentum. You obey before you understand everything that obedience will produce. Abraham gives us an interesting picture of this kind of faith. Hebrews 11:8 says that Abraham obeyed when God called him to go out into a place he would later receive as an inheritance. And he went out, not knowing whither he went. Think about that. Abraham received enough direction to move, but not enough information to know every detail of where the journey would take him. Sometimes God gives you a go before he gives you the where, and that requires a different kind of faith. We usually want God to show us the destination, explain the process, guarantee the outcome, and then we will decide whether we want to move. But sometimes obedience begins with the next step. And planting seasons can feel especially uncomfortable because so much of what matters is happening where you cannot see it. This is where you have to be careful not to interpret invisible as inactive. Those are not the same thing. Now, I don't want to give you a false promise. Not everything you attempt is guaranteed to succeed simply because you worked hard or prayed about it. Scripture doesn't teach that every seed we personally choose to plant will produce the harvest we imagined. That is why discernment matters. The question is not simply, am I working hard? The question is, am I being faithful to what God has actually given me to do? Because if God has given you something to steward, you cannot allow the absence of immediate results to become your only measurement of whether it matters. Maybe you are building something and very few people see it. Maybe you are developing a skill that has not opened a door yet. Maybe you are being faithful in small responsibilities while wondering when something larger will come. Maybe you are praying, serving, learning, writing, preparing, or creating, and there is no applause attached to any of it. Don't despise that. Planting is quiet work. And one of the disciplines of planting is resisting the temptation to keep digging up the seed to see whether it is growing. Some things need time. Some things need consistency. And some things need you to keep doing what is right without demanding immediate evidence that it is working. Galatians 6:9 says, "And let us not be weary in well-doing, for in due season we shall reap if we faint not." Notice the language, due season. That means sowing and reaping are not always happening at the same time. So if you are in a season where you are faithfully doing what God has placed in your hands, but you cannot yet see what it is producing, don't automatically assume nothing is happening. Ask yourself, is there seed in the ground? Have I been faithful with what God gave me? Am I developing what He told me to develop? Am I obeying the direction I have, even though I don't have every detail about the destination? If so, keep tending the ground. Don't manufacture fruit to prove that you are progressing. Don't compare your field to someone else's harvest. And don't abandon faithful work simply because it is still underground. The field may look empty, but empty and planted are not the same thing. Learn the difference and be faithful with the seed while you wait to see what God will do with it.